Jane and Mark had dreamed of owning their own home for years. After countless months of saving, house hunting, and careful planning, they finally found the perfect place in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The kind of community where children played safely outside, the streets were lined with tidy sidewalks, and every house looked cared for. It was everything they wanted. There was just one catch. The neighborhood was governed by a homeowners association, or HOA, known for its strict rules and regulations. Jane had heard stories about HOAs from friends and online forums. Some were reasonable, but others were notorious for over-policing every little detail, from lawn heights to holiday decorations. But she thought, how bad could it be? As long as we follow the rules, everything will be fine. Little did she know, her first clash with the HOA would come from something as simple and seemingly harmless as painting her front door. From the moment Jane and Mark moved in, Jane felt the house lacked character. All the homes on the block sported the same muted shades of beige, gray, and taupe. It was almost as if individuality had been erased in favor of bland uniformity. Jane wanted their house to stand out, just a little. So she decided to paint their front door a vibrant turquoise, a color she loved and felt reflected their upbeat spirit. After an exhausting weekend of prep work and careful painting, Jane stepped back and admired their handiwork. The turquoise door gleamed brightly in the sunlight, a bold splash of color in a sea of sameness. It was exactly the kind of cheerful welcome she wanted to give visitors. But that joy was short-lived. A week later, a letter arrived in their mailbox. The envelope was embossed with the HOA's official seal. Jane's heart sank before she even opened it. Inside was a notice from the HOA's board, informing them that their door color was in violation of community standards. The turquoise paint wasn't on the HOA's approved color palette, which was shockingly limited to shades of beige, taupe, and gray. The letter stated that Jane and Mark had 14 days to repaint the door to a compliant color, and that a $300 fine had been assessed for the violation. Jane was stunned. $300 for painting a door the wrong color? It felt absurd, almost surreal. Mark, too, was bewildered. How can they possibly dictate what color we paint our own door? He asked, his voice tinged with frustration. They flipped through the HOA's official guidelines, which resembled a strict rulebook more than a helpful guide. Every approved color was dull and muted, designed to make every house blend in perfectly. There was no room for personality or creativity. Jane's frustration turned to anger. Their home was supposed to be their sanctuary, a place to express themselves and feel comfortable. Now they were being told they couldn't choose a simple color that made them happy. Jane called the HOA office the next day, hoping for some understanding. Maybe this was a mistake? Perhaps they could get a waiver? But the HOA representative was polite but immovable. The rules are clear and were voted on by the community, she said. The palette exists to maintain property values and neighborhood harmony. We enforce it fairly and consistently. Jane tried to explain how limiting the color options were, how it squashed any sense of individuality. But the response was always the same. No exceptions. Feeling powerless but refusing to be silenced, Jane and Mark discussed their options that evening over dinner. Maybe we should just pay the fine and repaint the door, Mark suggested cautiously. It's easier than a battle. Jane shook her head firmly. It's not just about the money. It's about standing up for ourselves. If we don't, what's next? Are they going to tell us what kind of curtains we can have? What flowers to plant? Mark smiled in admiration at her resolve. Then let's fight back. But how? Jane's eyes sparkled with determination. Creatively. We turn this into more than just a door. It's a statement. The next morning, Jane began her campaign. She visited neighbors, sharing their story and asking if others felt the HOA's rules were too strict. To her surprise, many nodded quietly. Several admitted they'd longed to add their own personal touches but had been too afraid of fines. Jane asked if they would sign a petition to expand the HOA's approved color palette. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Dozens signed, eager for change. She posted about the petition and their fight on the community's social media page, encouraging others to speak up. But the HOA board was unyielding. They dismissed the petition at the next meeting, insisting the rules were necessary for neighborhood uniformity and property values. Asterisk frustrated but not defeated, Jane took the fight online. She began posting daily videos showing her painting the door different shades of turquoise, bright aqua, soft seafoam, teal, and every shade in between. Asterisk her posts were heartfelt and often humorous. Why should a door have to be beige too? Be beautiful, she asked viewers. She invited people to share their own stories of HOA frustrations. Asterisk Jane's hashtag Turquoise Rebellion quickly gained momentum. People from around the country shared their similar tales of HOA overreach. The hashtag trended, and media outlets reached out to cover the story. Asterisk Jane was interviewed on local TV and radio, passionately explaining how the HOA's strict rules stifled individuality and community spirit. Asterisk neighbors who had been silent before now felt emboldened to speak out. Support for Jane and Mark's cause grew stronger every day. Asterisk the HOA found themselves under an unexpected spotlight. Calls and emails flooded their offices from concerned residents and outside supporters. Asterisk the pressure mounted. The board convened an emergency meeting, inviting Jane, Mark, and the petition signers. Asterisk in the packed community hall, Jane spoke clearly and calmly. We understand the importance of maintaining our neighborhood's value and appeal, but it shouldn't come at the cost of crushing our individuality and happiness. A color palette should be a guide, not a prison. Asterisk other residents shared stories of petty fines and frustrations with inflexible rules. The mood was tense but hopeful. Asterisk after hours of passionate debate, the board voted to expand the approved door colors to include several vibrant yet tasteful shades, including multiple turquoises. Asterisk cheers erupted from the crowd. Jane and Mark's door remained bright turquoise, now officially allowed. Asterisk in the weeks that followed, more neighbors added colorful touches to their homes. Gardens bloomed with wildflowers, mailboxes were personalized, and front doors became canvases for creativity. Asterisk Jane's small act of defiance had sparked a much larger movement toward flexibility and respect for personal expression in their community. Asterisk looking back, Jane realized it was never just about a door. It was about standing up to unfair restrictions, fighting for freedom to express, and showing that communities can thrive with individuality, not uniformity. Asterisk their story inspired others across the country facing similar HOA battles. Sometimes, all it takes to change the system is a splash of color and a voice brave enough to be heard.